very pleased with our win. Very pleased with our fast start. That was something that was real important that we made a big emphasis in our program. Not very pleased when we had the lull in the second quarter when we had those 4 bad drives. But I'll give you a quick rundown of our personnel and how they played. First of all, offensive champions, Jordan Hall, great to see him, 159 yards and graded out 81%. I guess those are career highs for him, and I thought he played very well. Chris Fields had 2 touchdowns, 3 out of 3 opportunities, made all 3. And Philly Brown graded out champion. Offensive player of the week was Jordan Hall. Obviously not near what we expect on offense. We have to get a lot better, but those kids did play well. On defense, you had Noah Spence. I believe that was his first start. Graded out 80% and had a sack. Graded champion. Duran Grant graded out 96%. Out of 21 opportunities, made to play 18, which is high. And a lot of opportunities made his plays. And Christian Bryant was defensive player of the game and graded out at 94%. So we got to do a little better. The good thing is we have a chance to get better. A lot of new players on defense. When Shazier cramped up, we were down there. Christian Bryant was basically our only veteran player out there. So I'm anxious to see a lot of improvement. We should get, looks very positive for C.J. Barnett to be back. Bradley Roby will be back. We're going to get more play out of Corey Lindsley on offense. And so that's a positive. We're starting to get our roster back intact. As of now, Rod Smith will be back if he has a good week of practice and does it all right. So that helps us. We're all really noticed that is in special teams. Positive about kicking game was our kickoff unit was fantastic. I want to say that they were held inside the 20 every time. I believe they were, except for once on the 20 or 22. And special teams player of the week was Ron Tanner. And an honorable mention went to Von Bell. Von Bell had 3 tackles on kickoff. Ron Tanner just really played well on kickoff and a variety of other spots on special teams. It was good to see our Australian get in there and punt the ball a little bit. Kind of negotiated not a great snap, and I expect him to get a lot better as we move forward. So I'll answer any questions for you.
On the right, David.
Coach David Wilson, 10 TV. 4 running backs get carries on Saturday. If Rod has that good week of practice, how does he fit into that mix? How many touches would you like to see him get?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We kind of, last spring, I had the intention of making Jordan Hall more of an H, but an H that can come in and motion in, and that's when he can cause issues for defenses. So I don't know. We'll see how he practices. I hope he does earn right to carry the ball, because that will free up Jordan Hall maybe to help us in some other areas as well.
Middle, Dave.
Dave, Bill, a lot of nuts. Urban, is there a chance Brad Roby could be one of the game captains? He's obviously one of the leaders of this team. He won't be at all this year.
This year?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't thought about it. And I stuck Norwell out there last year. Mike Vrabel said something to me really intriguing about he was not elected a game captain or a captain of the team. But what are we talking about? You know, he is a captain. And so I just, Norwell, the way he has been, I wanted to put him out there, and we did that.
Far left, Rusty.
In light of what San Diego State did in the opener, first of all, have you seen anything on them? And secondly, what didn't go right for them if you did see it?
Oh, they're great. They're arguably the best tailback we'll face all year. Was injured, I believe, in the first quarter. This Eastern Illinois team played outstanding and gave up, scored some big plays against man coverage. Other than that, I see a defense. It's an odd stack, 3-3-5 defense that they blitz, bring high percentage of pressures. Their movement, their chaos defense that play really hard with some good players. And offense, I think they kind of stepped out of their comfort zone a little bit. They just threw I want to say 63 times or something like that. I've coached against Rocky Long before. Excellent football coach, tough. Guys play real hard, and they won, I believe, 9 games last year, which is not surprising for his coach teams.
Follow up on Roby. Does he step right in as a starter, or is
he's competing for a spot? He will not be named starter. Will be probably, I don't know when we do the starter thing. When do we do that?
We'll put on a depth chart tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be. We'll probably see Armani or Roby. We'll start. Depends on how they practice.
Far right, Austin.
Urban, what is Chris Fields doing now this year that allows him to contribute more than maybe this time a year ago?
You know, one of the most improved players on our team. He's involved in special teams. We kind of have a rule around here that you can't play unless you're involved in the special teams, and he's really done a nice job. I admire Chris Fields. Chris Fields wasn't in the top 50, you know, for the playing a game last year, and he's really the same talent. He's just playing his tail off and doing a lot of things for us, doing it all right too.
Kenny said after the game that with the 2-point conversions that he has I don't know how much freedom he has, but he's looking at numbers. Is that something that can happen at any time throughout the game? Is that the plan to let him decide that?
You know, I went to the Fiesta Bowl and I watched Oregon do that early in the game, and I just know that drives defensive coaches. You know, you have to work on it, and it's also a chance where you get some cheap points. And so we've been working on that since last February, and so it worked pretty good. And so I don't know how often we'll do that. I don't know that. We usually decide that on Wednesday, but it's in the package.
Second row right, Doug.
Doug Harris, Team Daily News. Urban, you said you want to be a really aggressive defense this year. I'm wondering, with all the new guys out there, if you had to peel it back a little bit and not put so much pressure in press coverage.
I think that's a correct statement. You know, and especially you know, anybody gets their first start, and we were down 1, 2, 3, 4 special teams players too. That's where, you know, the three names I just mentioned, Rod Smith, Roby, and C.J. Barnett. I thought there was a fourth name. But those, for sure, those three guys are valued special teams member as well. And then Roby coming back now frees up Armani, who's a tremendous special teams player for us a year ago. We had to be very cautious. He played a lot of football for us in that heat. So we're starting, you know, that helps with our depth.
We could expect maybe more press coverage, more.
I think you have to visit with them. I think so. I think we all want to be a little more aggressive. And we didn't play as much bump and run coverage. However, we did pressure quite a bit.
Back row left, Bill.
Urban, you were in Ohio at the time. Do you have any memories of the cardiac kids because of sight? And
Absolutely.
Also, he was Breeze size, didn't have a big, strong arm. He was very accurate. Is that the most important thing, or what, for a quarterback?
Oh, I think the most important thing for a quarterback is the competitive spirit, is being a guy that, you know, I just love those guys. The best ones I've ever been around are ones that refuse to lose in checkers or ping pong or anything. They just don't. And I say this quite often, unlike most any position in all of sport, the quarterback has more of a pulse. They're who your team is usually, and that's why I like the energetic quarterbacks. And we're really working on with Braxton. You know, he came out pretty energetic, and we had a lot of enthusiasm going. So we just need to sustain that. So I think competitive spirit is number one, and then toughness number two, and the ability to get out of a bad play is number three. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but that's what I look for.
Specific memory of that cardiac kid season?
Oh, I was young. I just was a huge, I remember going to watch the game, watching them play in the old stadium. Loved it.
Far right, Clay.
Yeah, Coach, your former broadcast partner is going to call the game this week. Are you usually interested in his take or what he thinks of your team?
Is that Chris?
Correct.
I talked to Chris, you know, last year. I talked to him, and we talked about tackling. You know, he's one of those guys that has a very firm belief in tackling, and he came in and we talked about it. I'm sure we'll talk this week, and I absolutely have interest in what he has to say. He knows football.
Front row, Todd.
Irvin, we've got a chance to see Braxton's personality this year, and just seems such a humble, nice kid. How difficult is it, you look at what Manziel's gone through, to navigate the pitfalls of fame and success for a young guy?
I just, you know, in today's day and age, I think everything gets exploded, and you got to remember these are 19 and 20-year-old young men that. I just remember when I was 19 or 20, I didn't do some things that I'd be very proud of right now when I'm 49. So, but the difference was camera phones and blogs and Twitter and all that other stuff didn't exist. Because if it did, I probably won't be standing here behind this microphone. And I imagine a few of you would be working where you're working. Not to mention any names, Tim May. But. So I don't know the whole story. I have a lot of respect for their coach, and my heart always goes to the player. Like, my gosh, you know. You want to leave them alone, let them go play the game. But I get it.
Front row, Tim.
Yeah, Urban Tim, Columbus Dispatch. A couple of three questions. Number one, when you've watched Bradley work over the last month, what have you seen about him? Have you seen what you wanted to see? You understand what I'm asking there? And just what will he bring, you think, to the
Here's how I'm going to give you my take on Bradley Roby, who I have a lot of respect for, and his mother as well. Is he made a decision to come back, and his decision to come back, I don't know if he even announced why. It's because he came in with a group of players he wanted to finish, which I think is very admirable. He catches a lot of people in his ear, people that, you could have done this, you could have done this, and then after you've been told that for so long. So I believe that he went through a little bit of a funk of buyer's remorse or whatever, and I'm not, I think he'd be a good one to talk to because he's a mature guy. At the right time you can. And I've seen ever since the incident that occurred, which, by the way, everything was, once the videotape came out and everything, there was no assault, there was no battery, there was no whatever. But I think he learned a really strong lesson. He's done everything we've asked him to do, and I'm anxious to get him back on the field.
second thing? Special teams. Have you seen something with Kerry Coombs as the coordinator? Have you seen I don't know, more coordinated approach? I mean, just talk about what it seemed to have y'all seem to have a pretty good day with those on Saturday and stuff. But what
I think he's a little more organized than the previous coordinator we had here.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. With Kerry, the number one I think I see Kerry's organization, but not number one thing. Number one thing is energy and passion and motivation. He's a tremendous motivator, very good in front of the team, and I wanted to be. I have so much stuff going on. I wanted to be fair, and to be able to devote much because I devote a lot of time to our offense too. So I just wanted to be fair, and I thought, you know what, he earned that right, and he's doing, I think, a very good job of it.
Middle, Steve.
Yeah, Coach, after you guys went back and looked at the tape, some of the breakdowns on the offensive line, what were some of the consistent themes, or what were the things that you guys saw that were happening?
Well, we get beat a couple of times and it gets exposed. I mean, for the most part, I think we played okay. You can't get exposed. And the player they had, his stock in the draft just went up a little bit after playing against us. He did a very good job. He manhandled some guys and did a good job. So whenever that happens, what do? You go back to your fundamentals and keep working and keep grinding. I have the utmost confidence in our offense line and their position coach, what he did with them a year ago and what he's doing now with them, that they'll play much better, and they have to. But give credit where credit due. There was issues, and the biggest issue is a fantastic football player. He could play anywhere at any school in America, the kid for Buffalo.
Front row left, Doug.
Doug Lane, Cleveland.com. Urban, you talked after the game that you scored 40 points and you're a little disappointed. That's a good thing. But what did you think of the offense as a whole? And I know there's not probably a point total that you're shooting for each week, but do you have pretty high expectations?
Yeah, very high expectations. I want to score every time we touch the ball. I'm disappointed if we don't score. And that's, once again, high expectations. However, we have some talented guys. Our coaching staff's been together, and we should have been better. We came out of the gate the way I kind of envisioned that we do. We kind of finished the game like I imagined we would, too. We had two long drives, one 10-play drive, one 14-play drive. Not one time did we call a quarterback run in any of the times other than one quarterback draw, and then one coming out a sweep. So it's two for the entire course of the game. Now he scrambles. When you play man coverage teams, man under teams, which he did on a 3rd and 10, that's whether you're John Elway or Braxton Miller, that's part of how you defeat man under coverage. And same thing with drop 8. They did a lot of 3-man rush, drop 8 into coverage, and he kind of got out of there a little bit and scrambled. So that's part of quarterback play. That was not designed runs for him. So I have high expectations for our offense, very high, and I think we graded very average for this game without taking any disrespecting our opponent, because I think they did a good job.
It seems like both San Diego State and Cal the next 2 weeks are going to be offenses that are going to try to run a lot of plays with some young guys on defense, guys having cramping issues. Do you think your defense is ready to face an offense that's going to play that way?
I think we're more suited now that we get our 2 players back in the secondary, and I think our defensive line, that was the first time most of those kids have ever played. Curtis Grant, first time he played a whole. But the issue of cramping, we can't have guys leave the game. Josh Perry didn't play that many plays, and all of a sudden he's out of the game. And I'm still trying to figure that one out. And so we're just going to make sure our guys, and I have to do a good job, our training staff and the players, take care of yourself, because we can't have those issues, because that will be a major league problem this week. I'm not worried about next week. We'll discuss that next week. But that'll be a problem if you look out there and some guys are cramped or they're not playing, then we got a problem. We just don't have that. No one has that much depth. C.J. Barnett and Roby being back is certainly going to help us, though.
Front row, Bill.
Bill Rabinowitz Dispatch. How ideal is it for you as a coach to, first of all, you won the game. There were a lot of good things, especially early, but there are a lot of things that you can point to the last 3 quarters and say, you're not anywhere close to where we want you to be. In that sense, was it almost a perfect world for you as a coach?
That's a good question, Bill, and I think complacency is certainly not a problem this week. You know, there's been times where you smoke a team, and then all of a sudden you go in on Tuesday and you start trying to get after them, but they're looking at you like, what do you know, because they've just been told how great they are. So I think that's a very valid and is much cleaner as all of us would like to have seen it. It's a great opportunity for us to coach them really hard to get better Tuesday and Wednesday.
And one question about Lindsley. Obviously, offense played great with him in the game. Can you give any kind of definition to the injury and just how close he is to being 100%?
Yeah, he had surgery. He had in our last game, I believe, against a team up north. It wasn't a Liz Franks. It was close. There were some issues with the bone separating, and we thought it would be healed up. He went through off season, started bothering him, and we made a decision in spring practice early in spring to go put it, because the doctor said the best thing is make sure, even on MRIs or whatever, X-rays, that it showed that it looked okay, but it was bothering him, and he's a tough kid, so they put a screw in it, and those are long injuries, so he's a little bit ahead of schedule even. So we played him, I think, 17 plays, and I wanted to put him back in, and we just, we made the decision on the sideline, so let's keep going as is, and he'll play more, and so just keep gradually getting better and better.
2 more questions. Matt, far left.
Matt McCoy, WTVN. Just interested in your view of the freshman debuts. Was it kind of what you expected, the good and the bad with?
Well, Daughtry, I think, was good, other than he's laid on the ground. That was terrible, and he won't play much if that happens again. I did think he showed some of the explosiveness that he has. We would like to get number 15 a couple more carries. On offense, I think that might have been it. James Clark just got in there for a few plays. On defense, Joey Bosa, I think, has played very well. I think he's earning a lot of time in the rotation. I'm really impressed with him. Mike Hill continues to get better, and Trey Johnson played extensively. We didn't really expect that to happen, but Ryan went down with cramps early and had a hard time getting back. I believe that was it.
What the guys
Von
on
Bell.
special teams.
Von Bell did very well. Cam Burrows did actually very well. That's a great place to start to make a name here.
Quick follow-up, by the way, Curtis Grant on the penalty. What do you tell?
You tell him to stop. That's silly. We were watching video the other day, and a kid gets it, and you have to stop. And he was right there, and I mean, he fell on the pile, and he got a 15-yard penalty on a sack. But that's the rule.
Far right, Doug.
Doug Latzel's ABC6, obviously you were depleted in the secondary, coach, but can you evaluate Cam? You said had a good game. Armani Reed, some of the other guys.
Okay, Armani, one or two, it was about a 3-play series where he had a penalty. The ball got deflected one time, and it completed, and then they threw a fade on him in the end zone, so he got exposed there for a minute. But I think he's a tough kid. He's talented. I expect him to continue to get better and better, and he certainly deserved to be in the rotation for playing corner.